Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where we review anything and everything. Today we're taking a look at the X-Men Legends, X-Men 97, I'm sorry, Marvel Legends, X-Men 97 Magneto character. Now, disclaimer, this is a non-unboxing review video, so I'm not going to take him out of the package because I'm going to keep him as a collector's item in the package. If there's ever a point in time where I do decide to take him out of the package, I will do a re-review. But so this is in the wake of the whole X-Men 97 remake coming, not remake, but continuation of the old X-Men animated series. And obviously everyone already kind of knows about this by this point. This character is figure is not new. I think it came out almost close to a year ago now, even though the series just dropped not all that long ago. Now, in the series, he ends up getting this, I don't think would be a big deal or a spoiler alert, because by this time you already had Wave 2 out and this guy came from Wave 1, and he ends up having a different costume that he dons. Taking a quick look at the back, you can see the wave that came with this, which is actually a nice wave. And Wolverine and Rogue are extremely hard to get a hold of at this point. And I actually passed on collecting the line because instead I opted to get the X-Men 275 setup instead. And by the time I kind of halted on this and decided if I may have wanted to get it, even though I know it would have been like almost double dipping for me in terms of having like a whole X-Men setup, because I'm not one of those guys who have like huge Marvel Legends collection. I'm actually just getting started into it. But then all of a sudden, certain individual ones, their prices started fluctuating, going up and down, getting crazy. You have Wave 2 that has Cyclops and Jean Grey in it, along with a few other figures, and you just see the prices just fluctuating up and down, up and down. And it gets to a point where certain characters now, which they should be $25, are pushing like $60 and about $40 respectively, and on the rise. So that wasn't my intention to buy the whole set, but I purchased this character because one, I was able to get him on a good deal, but then two, I felt that he's one of the only characters, probably because of him wearing a mask, that he doesn't look too cartoony like, where the other ones have a very strong cartoony look, where I feel they don't match up well with the other comic based versions of the Marvel Legend characters. And this one, I feel you could definitely pass for not, being that, because obviously you can see here it just very much has he very much has just kind of like a basic look, like the helmet really covers it up. Hold on, I'm gonna adjust some lighting real quick. Yeah, I hope this makes things a little bit easier to see. But so with this is obviously your classic Magneto costume. Magneto. I always interchange the name. Sorry about that if I do that throughout the video. But he has a newer costume in the series, but obviously this is classic costume. And I personally feel that, if you're just a collector who wants this character for the old retro style, like I said, he's passable where he doesn't look too cartoony, yet he's his own old classic suit. He has a set of hands, closed fist hands and open hands. And pretty much it's just one of those only times you'll be able to get maybe an affordable version of Magneto, I'm sorry, affordable version of this character in his current times. Like otherwise, if you go online, you try to look, and I'm going to throw the affiliate link in the description for this character on Amazon. If you go and try to find yourself a Magneto for a reasonable price, a lot of them sometimes are very expensive. And this is a case with a lot of Marvel Legends characters, because if you're just getting into it now, a lot of the older characters, once they're no longer being made, or versions of those characters, then at that point they're an arm and a leg. So here is a chance to kind of grab a retro looking Magneto for a reasonable price, roughly about $25, which is the standard cost of Marvel Legends characters. So I like them. I think it works well. They do say that this figure is a little bit short. I don't know if next to some other Marvel figures, regular size figures, obviously not like the jumbo size, hulking size type of characters. But generally speaking, Magneto is supposed to be about 6'1", if I'm not mistaken. So probably roughly somewhere in that Daredevil to Captain America height range. Daredevil, I believe, is 6 feet, and Captain America is 6'2", if I'm not mistaken. So he's supposed to be generally somewhere within that roundabout. So yeah, I don't know how he stands next to them and all, but if he stands like a general typical size figure, that really shouldn't be a problem. Matter of fact, I have my tape measure here, and he is above the 6-inch line, which makes him above 6 feet based on scale. So maybe just other characters just happen to stand a little bit taller than him in terms of just the way the line works. In terms of inches goes, he's not considered short. Let me know your thoughts. If you have this character, do you want to purchase him? Did you end up going for the whole X-Men 97 line? Did you not? Whatever your thoughts are. One thing that I wanted to also add about this character is he doesn't come with any accessories in terms of energy abilities. Now, granted, can you see magnetism? Back in the day, some of the older figures in the original line that had came out a long while back, the very first line of like the new wave toys, if you want to call it that, in the 90s, because they were old toys that were similar to the retro lines that I reviewed way earlier in the channel, that 3/4 inch figure size for the Secret Wars event. And if anyone remembers that, dialing that back way, way back in the 80s, you would recall those kind of figures. This, but I'm sorry, in the more newer wave, the ones that came out in the 90s of the figures, Magneto had magnets in his hand, which was actually a great idea, because most of those figures at the time had gimmicks, and some of them had lights that you press a button on their back and the eyes would light up like Cyclops, or Storm, her chest would light up with a thunderbolt. He had magnets in his hand, which I just thought was amazing, and if I'm not mistaken, a magnet in his chest, and so that just fit well for the gimmick. I don't think that will fly that well now, because now for display purposes, that's more of a toy gimmick for kids to play with. But for someone putting a figure on display, you want like effects. I think that they should have had some kind of swirling spiral type of effect that has like maybe a general cone shaped spiraling effect, to look like he's, shooting some kind of pulse blast or something. But and I think this whole line actually is pretty bad with giving the X-Men 97 line was pretty bad with giving any kind of energy features or anything of that sort. But they definitely should have had something, or even if it was the Silver Surfer circular energy beams that go around his arms or his hands that they depict in the Surfer figures that were from way back. They just had a reissue of one now. Even that would have done well for this figure, maybe in the color of blue, or maybe even yellow, like they would do in the cartoon. But the point is that them not having that, I think, really is a big hit to the character. And then I wish also that Marvel Legends in general would sell blast effects separately, maybe even on like a stand, like you could have a stand and then a blast effect. If anyone who's ever got into Street Fighter characters figures, there are some sets, I don't know all the different ones, but there's some of them that will have like a clear stand, and it will hold, like, say, a fireball projectile, so it's separate, it's not attached to the character, but it will be in between that character and his opponent. And I think that Marvel Legends should do a little bit of that as well, where maybe sell them separately, so that way you can use them for whatever other figures you want. But similar to, they have the flight stand is sold separately by Hasbro, you would have something similar to a flight stand, but instead a stand for energy based powers, and then you would have the energy effect on it. So that way, rather than it being, not only would it not have to be attached to that figure, but the weight of it wouldn't have to be supported by that figure. It would be, say, if the character's hand is like this, and then you have a stand and a blast effect that has this huge dynamic blast effect, but because the weight of it is on that stand rather than on the figure's hand, it can be super dynamic. It can be huge. It could be sometimes the size of the character. It could be just incredible. And something like that would just be great for displays. So I just wanted to point that out, as far as what I thought was a negative with this character, was just not having some kind of blast effect. But as always, you guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video.